The one thing is just the audio, right? The audio. So
You're going to have to speak louder.
We'll get Zach just to quiet the guys down.
But I think we should only have the game on at this TV.
Is that reflecting at all?
So Zach, for the audience questions, so Jeff is going to go around and kind of hold his hand down and he's going to give it. But because of our audio setup, it might be pretty quiet. So I don't know if you want to echo the questions or not. Because that's going to be our main thing. We have no mics, right?
There's a lot of background noise.
Yeah, but we have no mics, so
We'll the background noise.
It's a bit late now.
Yeah, it's time.
We gotta keep it quiet for a few minutes. We're gonna start the the rugby director session over there. We're live on YouTube.
All right, Richard, we're set to go, Chris.
Boys, quiet, please.
Okay. Good stuff. All right, well, good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Warren. I'm Vice President of Crew, and we're delighted to have both a live studio audience here, right here, broadcasting live. Fantastic. We're broadcasting live from our very own Crew Park as well as on our YouTube channel. So make sure you like and subscribe to that. And thanks to everyone who's joining us there as well virtually. I want to start off with a really big thank you to all of our sponsors, in particular our primary senior sponsor, that's Penalta. So big shout out to Penalta, guys. Really big shout out. And also to Dietrich's Meats, who are our primary junior sponsor as well. So big shout out to Dietrich's Meats. Alright, so let's welcome you to Crew's Meet the Rugby Directors. Unfortunately, Callie, our women's director, was unable to be here this evening, but we are committed to making sure she has time to share some questions and thoughts with our audience here as well, of course, and our membership. Probably around our Alumni Day, but stay tuned for more details there. Tonight, though, we do have our very esteemed men's rugby director, Mr. Kevin Brenders. So thanks so much, Kevin, for being here. And again, guys, one more time, big shout out for Kevin. Wonderful. Okay, so let's start with our first question. So, Kevin, I wonder if you could tell us a bit about the coaching staff and support staff that will be supporting the men and women this season.
Well, that's a great question. Both men and women. So we've got Kyle Knight returning for our women's program. We've got Ryan Morrison returning to coach at the U18 level for junior girls. Angela Jackson is coaching the U16, very senior coach. And we've got Barb Robinson coming back for U14 girls. Yeah, so outstanding group on the girls' side. On the boys' side, Sonny is back with a whole group, including Jeff Bowman, etc. Too many guys to list. We've got a change at U16. So for the first time in 25 years, we've had to find a new U16 coach. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Graham Bridges. 25 years as the U16 coach, a number of Ontario championships, really a driver of culture within our club. Most of the people in this room have been coached by Graham, if not 10 years ago, then even less than that. So Graham will still be around, but Don Crows is taking over the U16 program. But a round of applause, I think, for Graham Bridges. And then, we've got Ati Stander, who's the head coach for our U18 boys, and this is a little bit of a background on Ati. He had a 9-year professional career in South Africa, 2 years in Super Rugby. He was in 2 Currie Cup finals. He was Coach of the Year in Dubai prior to moving to Canada a couple of years ago. But just a generally nice guy and a great teacher for the young men. So we're excited about him. On the senior level, we've got Scott Hendry coming back. That's the one thing. Invite Scott back. Ably assisted by Jeff Bowman, who's going to be doing the backs. Steve Gittins is going to be helping us out as an attacks coach. Gavin Alp is going to be helping us out as well with the seconds and thirds this year. But I also want to mention that Graham Walsh is going to be doing some scrum consulting for us this year. Graham has decided to step back from the rugby director role and into a coaching role. And I want to say that Graham's left us in a very good place. And we thank Graham for his efforts, and we can't wait to to see his passion return on field as a coach. So thank you very much, Graham. Finally, we have Chris Clark, who's going to be game day manager, and we're going to put a lot of effort into our game day experience for the players this year, and Chris is going to be a big help in that. So thank you, Chris, for asking.
That's fantastic. Thanks for the overview. Really appreciate that, Kevin. I want to remind our live studio audience, as well as anyone else who's joining us on YouTube there too, please have your questions ready. We want this to make sure it's a very organic process. So you've got some time now. Come up with some very profound thoughts, and we'll ask Kevin that in a little bit. All right? So thanks so much, guys. Let's talk about the season, though, that's coming up here a little bit. All right? So first of all, Kevin, who are the Marshall favorites, and what are some maybe surprise teams this year?
So Marshall favorites, I think you have to look at the Bomb Beach Club. They had great registration numbers last year. They won 4 championships across their grades, so they have a lot of depth. So I think you have to look at them first. Brantford is a veteran team, and they always put out a very competitive side. It'll be interesting to see as the season goes on where they're at. Generally, they get stronger, but again, they're a veteran side. So I think you have to look at those two straight away. Burlington were competitive last year, Scottish obviously. But I think from a surprise team, Oshawa's had a good junior program for a number of years. I know Ajax has, and some of those kids move back and forth. So Oshawa might be a dark horse as the year goes on as well. At the end of the day, I like our chances. I think there's a very, very good group here, and I think there'll be a very good group in the fall. So it'll be a competitive league. Look forward to it.
That's great. Love the enthusiasm there. So our seconds only had 1 loss so far. How will they go in 2023? What do you think?
Yeah, so our second team, we really have a mentality of reloading. There were a lot of young guys on our second team. A lot of the U18s played in our second grade last year, and I believe they were 11-1. Remind me, is it 11-1? So outstanding season, and we're starting to see some of those young guys actually move into the first grade and push for those positions. So I really like the fact that we're going to be 2 deep in every position this year, and really excited to see that week-to-week competition. It's also going to allow us to manage some older guys' game time as the year goes on, allow them to have some time with their families during the summer, and keep them fresher for the fall.
Great, makes sense. Love that. What about our thirds and fourths? Can you speak a bit about them? Where are they at this year?
So we're going to work our third team and fourth team together. So we want to take the culture of the Fab Fours, the fun shirts, the culture of the traditional positive culture of rugby, and we're going to marry it with our third team. So the third team do have a league in the TRU B division this year, so they do have 8 games. We're also committed to getting them games against other Marshall division teams who run third sides. So we have a fixture against the Waterloo Thirds in our home opener away to Waterloo. So the more we can get the third team playing at the same park, club on club, with the first and seconds, the better it is for our culture and the more fun it is.
Great. You mentioned the beach before. I wonder, this week, of course, we've got 5 games coming up here. I wonder if you can speak a little bit, get some commentary on those matchups there, how you're feeling going into it.
I personally am feeling, I'm feeling quite good. The Beach have been a long-time rival. I had a chance to play for a year with the Beach, actually, and the Crew were a big rival for us.
But pause for audience boo. That's our sign there, yeah.
But you know what? I said this earlier. Scott may have different thoughts, but I like our chances. And it's only a rivalry if both sides win, and they've had our number the last few years. But this is a year that we want to put down a marker. We used to play them 3 times a year. Now we only play them once. And this weekend's one of our chances. So I'm looking forward to seeing our boys compete.
Great, fantastic. Thank you, Kevin. I want to pivot now to our first audience question. Anyone who has an audience question, no Justin circulating as well. I'll just take a moment here to pause. Anyone who has a profound thought or question they want to ask our new rugby director about? Thank you. In the back there, sir.
Kev, can you speak a little bit about your family's journey at the Crusaders, the time that you spent here, and some of the value that you kind of had out of that journey?
So I have two sons, both of them involved in rugby. Both of them started doing mini rugby here, and we were in Kingston for a few years, so they were there as well. It's really become a bit of a family affair. I've enjoyed watching the boys fall in love with the sport. They like to do other sports as well. They've done hockey, they've done basketball, some volleyball, baseball, etc. But it's been really nice to see them enjoy rugby as much as I have. And now with our women's ladies touch program, for the first time last year, their mom, my wife, Erin, has also gotten involved in the Tuesday night women's touch, and she's enjoying it very much. And for me, it's gratifying that we can spend this time as a family, and it really does feel like a family club here. So, thanks.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and for a lot of sports, they often have customers. We have members. We have a community here as well, right? That's one of our real add values as a sport and as Crusaders as well, right? It's what we provide at all ages and stages. So that's fantastic. A great segue as well. An unplanned question, by the way, but we'll segue to our junior program as well, too. So how are the junior boys looking this year? Registration numbers, thoughts on their season coming up, Kevin?
Yeah, junior boys, well, I have heard, actually, I'll just comment on the junior girls. I hear their numbers are outstanding.
Fantastic.
So our U18 girls have seen a real surge in registrations. Our U16s have been strong right from the beginning this year, and I know they're very well organized. And U14 will be good. On the boys' side, yeah, the numbers look very good. We hope to run 2 teams at the U18 level, 2 teams at the U16 level, and 2 teams at the U14 level. So I'm looking forward to the year. I'm enthusiastic about where we're headed.
Great, wonderful. Any sort of tours coming inbound for this season?
Yeah, we've got 2 inbound tours for U16, and we've got 5 inbound tours from overseas for the U18. So that, in combination with a very competitive Ontario League, should make for a very, very busy summer for our junior boys.
That's great. So True is obviously a magnet here in Oakville for international sides, right? Coming here, one has a good, quality of rugby, of course, in terms of challenging. We also send sides overseas. For you as well, you've spent time overseas, right? You visited other clubs there too. I wonder if you could comment a bit about the sort of standard of our junior program relative to those other clubs you've encountered, and maybe speak as well a little bit more about sort of the future of our junior rugby program. Great. Where you see it going?
Well, I'm going to actually ask you to ask Scott the same question when he comes up here in a few minutes. But, yes, I had a chance with a group to go visit Liam Bowman over in Montauban last year. We had a chance to snoop around Cast and visit Matt Tierney, visited Liam at Montauban, as I said. When tours come in, or when we go and see other programs, or we watch them on YouTube and we compare and contrast, our 16-year-olds look very similar to 16-year-olds anywhere else in the world. Our 18-year-olds would be competitive. When I watched the Espoir team, I saw some players that our kids would be very competitive with. I do think that we need to further develop our strength and conditioning program for 17, 18, and 19-year-olds. We need to become more formalized in that. It's an advantage for kids overseas to be in a school structure in South Africa or England or wherever, that they have a strength and conditioning program that they can rely on, and I think that we need to continue to build that out. So our juniors not only remain competitive from a skill perspective, but remain competitive from a physical and strength perspective as well.
Great, thanks, Kevin. I want to pause now and look to our studio audience as well. Anyone here have a question, a second question for Kevin? Anyone? Pivoting live.
Yeah.
Right in the back there.
So outside of players, what about spectators? What kind of things are we looking to highlight for them to kind of come down and enjoy a good day of basketball?
Oh, super. I'm really glad you asked. Actually, this is something we've been working and strategizing over this year. So I think when people do come down, they're going to see a number of changes at the park. We started last year. We wanted the players and the spectators, when they arrived at the park, to feel like they've come to an event today. So we wanted the players to show up, whether it was advertising or the feather flags. We're doing a cricket screen with some advertising on it this year on one end of the field. We're looking at some satellite bars and building out the hospitality gardens. We're going to be doing more tents, etc. So, whether it's taking care of the alumni, casual fan, rugby spectator that wants to come and watch, or making the players, both our players and the opposition, when they walk up to the park, go, it's a rugby day here today. We want them to feel that. And I think that players will notice a difference when they come up. And it's even going to be small things, like signage out on 9th line, additional flags inviting people in, letting people know that there's a rugby match today. So I think the players will enjoy it when they see it, and I look forward to putting the finishing touches on it.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Kevin. I know you played a really big role in getting our summer camps firing again, right? Those mini summer camps as well, right? And we know that in our long-term player development pathway, by engaging more players younger, at a younger age, we can then help to sort of build that over time, right? So that's fantastic work there. I wonder if you can speak to us, Kevin, about that journey, what that was like, the hurdles, the challenges, the opportunities, and the future of those camp programs.
So, we looked at it from both a commercial perspective as well as player development experience perspective. So we had a very trusted partner who ran our camps earlier, and they were more for teens and tweens, and we, and that was working reasonably well. But at the end of the day, we wanted to have a little bit more control over the marketing. We wanted a little bit more control over the delivery of skills and what the environment looked like. We wanted a little bit more control over, quite frankly, just offering employment opportunities to our juniors. So, when I looked at the camps, I thought to myself, I don't really care if a mini plays the full minor rugby season, or if they did 2 weeks at the camp. It's the same time on task in terms of rugby development. So we looked at it from that perspective. We wanted to give kids who maybe had a cottage up in Muskoka a chance to still have a rugby experience. So, it diversifies our revenue by having these camps. It allows more kids to enter into the sport. It gives our juniors employment as camp counselors. And, quite frankly, it's going to open up a number of other opportunities from a commercial perspective for the club going forward. So it's worked really, really well, and we're excited to see them grow.
That's great. I understand we received some federal government funding. You want to maybe just touch on that a little bit as well to make these camps viable?
We've had wonderful support from our MP, Anita Nod, for our camp program through the Canada Summer Jobs Program. We've had support from all different levels of government. Stephen Crawford's also been a wonderful supporter. So, one Liberal, one Conservative, and I think both of them recognize that sport in the community at a reasonable price is very valuable. So we thank them for their support.
Absolutely. Sport really has that positive impact on your physical and mental well-being, right? So making those investments in the community, we're very grateful for them from our federal and provincial politicians. Thank you both, Stephen and Anita. I want to pivot here to a question about marketing and communications. I hear some audience questions as well, maybe as well. So I'll get to one in just a moment. But marketing and communications.
I think they're more interested in what's going on.
I was going to say, there might be more interested there as well. Yeah. We've had some great new social media content generated of late. I wonder if you could speak a bit more about that and who's responsible for that, because we've seen a reinvigoration of our social media accounts, Insta and so on. So maybe just touch a bit on that, Kevin.
Yeah, so Romy Riley from Romy Riley Photography has done some photo shoots for us the last couple of years, last year with the juniors, this year with the seniors. So you'll see some of those pictures posted on social media. Jill Bowman has taken over as our communications person. She's done an outstanding job. Jill's here somewhere, I think. So thank you, Jill. So she's done a great job, and we've been getting compliments from other clubs on our social media work. So I can't take any credit for it, but those are certainly two of the drivers behind this.
Great, fantastic. I'm going to pivot live again. Anyone else have a live audience question for Kevin? One more question here, anyone? One right in the front row here, sir. Yes.
Front row's right. Kevin, what are you most excited about this season?
There's a lot to be excited about. 7 years ago, a number of people started volunteering together to try and just change and build on what was already a really good established junior program. And I look around the room tonight and I see kids who were started with us at U14, and I'm really looking forward to seeing those players play at the senior level this year and really demonstrate the skills that they've worked on so hard for almost 6-7 years. So watching those kids play, I feel like they're almost part of our family. I look forward to watching them. That's what I'm most excited about.
Great, thank you, Kevin. I want to conclude on a little bit of a fun note here. All right, so I've got some two-part questions. All right, just kind of a little quick fire around here. Dogs or cats?
Neither.
Neither. All right,
Dogs. I have to say dogs. My wife has 2 dogs. Dogs.
Perfect. Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Okay. Ice or hot coffee?
Hot coffee, only 1.5 cups.
Okay. Lager or stout?
Depends on the season. Stout in the winter, lager in the summer.
Okay, I'll take that. Hard or soft shell tacos? That's the real barber.
Soft shell.
Okay. Last one. Who are you picking tonight for the hockey? Are we picking Leafs or Panthers? Panthers. There we go. All right, guys. Can I get a really big round of applause for Kevin? And if I can welcome Scott, please, to come on up. Scott Hendry, come on up now, Scott. Big round of applause, guys, for Scott. All right. We're going so far. Good. All right. Good stuff. All right, folks. So again, just quiet down a little bit there, sorry, for our audience at home thinking here as well? All right, Scott. So I asked Kevin about this weekend's, or this week's matchups here against the Beach. I wonder if you can just add some thoughts there from your perspective as a coach. So the matchup against the Beach for this week.
Well, I mean, again, having had quite a long history with the Beach, knowing Ian and how they work, and they'll be bringing 60-odd players, so there'll be lots of fresh bodies for our lads to be challenged by. And we're managing, like I say, we've got 3 teams out, and it'll be a good game. And that's all I can expect from these lads. It's a good, solid game. Hopefully, as they are defending Curby Cup champs, maybe we see it as an upset, but yeah, it'll be good.
That's great. Thank you, Scott. So, Crew obviously invests in that long-term player development path there, right? We want to see players start with minis, play right through juniors into seniors. I want to just talk about how some of our U18 players, now our younger players, are transitioning into seniors. How does that transition work?
So we have implemented a plan where the senior men and the U18 boys train together, same pitch, same time, and that's, I think, relieves some of the mysticism between junior rugby and senior rugby. The young lads see that.
Sorry, folks, just a little bit quiet in the room. Sorry.
The young lads see that there's no mystery to it.
Yeah.
It's not a different game. It's the exact same game. Right? And also with Addie's help, we've implemented a simplified version for the U18s and U16s as to our tactic and defensive systems. So again, no mystery when they come up. They're used to it. It's just the size, the speed, and a little more organization within the structure that they have to adapt to. But we're trying to increase the retainment of the U18s to senior men. I think by introducing them to a senior men's program in training early on at the U18 level, it really assists.
That's fantastic. That level of collaboration is essential, isn't it, right? So that's fantastic to see. Who are you looking to lead the senior men this year? We can talk about your team and others in the pitch as well.
Well, I mean, just prior to this meeting, we had a senior men's players meeting, and our first team captain, Andy Gale, took care of that, and Andy is absolutely by far our first team captain and very well organized. He takes care of that. Johnny Scrivo is our overall club captain, and he manages to make sure that the seconds and thirds are also fully involved. And it's quite it's coming along well.
Great, that's fantastic to hear there. I want to pivot to our first live audience question for Scott. We've got a question right over here, please.
Omar has a question.
Omar has a question, brilliant.
Okay, Coach, if you could pick one thing as the biggest takeaway for this season, what would it be? One of the biggest goals you have in mind for this team to accomplish? Besides the cup. Because we already know where it is.
Well, you mentioned it earlier in the team meeting. No losses at home. Crusaders Park is our fortress. We don't lose here, right? If we stumble, if we fall, then we're going to do that when we're away. But we're not going to do it here.
Great, thank you. Great question, fantastic. A bit of a fun question here, Scott. I wonder, do you have a favorite team? Like, do you follow professional or other levels of the game? Do you have a favorite team?
Got a couple. Okay. Obviously, as a hometown boy, I've got to rep the Arrows. I just spent a week with the Arrows coaching staff, and it was really good. They've got a good bunch of people there. They're struggling through an injury-plagued season. It's killing them, both on and off the pitch. They're doing the right things. They've got some really good people there. It's just the injuries, and and again, to the Arrows fans, who's all like, they've got to change something, they've got to change something. They've done internal reviews, they've done audits on their practices. It's been a lot of really bad luck with the amount of injuries. But on the other side of the other side of the pond, I'm a Bristol Bears fan.
We've got one in the audience. Fantastic. Always one, right?
In 2020, I spent 2 weeks with Bristol, a week with the academy program and a week with the senior men's program. And since then, the buy-in that they had, the atmosphere, the culture was brilliant. You couldn't help but fall in love with Pat Lam and all the work that he's done with his team. So, Bristol Bears.
That's fantastic. So your role as a coach obviously is focused on player development. I wonder if you could speak a bit more about your own coaching development. So what do you look to take on additional training, to develop in terms of your technical and tactical awareness, and then how do you kind of work on imparting that on the guys here that you're coaching?
It's a good follow-up question to what I just mentioned. So
That's why these are in order.
in 2020, I did spend those 2 weeks in Bristol, but I also spent a week with Worcester, the former Worcester Warriors, a week at Hartbury College, and a week with the Newcastle Falcons. So it was very different because Newcastle at the time was still playing championship rugby. They had been promoted back to the Premiership. So seeing a bit of that, obviously with Hartbury being championship as well, the different ways of how they have to train, because semi-pro versus pro, it was enlightening. But yeah, definitely took a lot of technical and tactical information away from that. This past year, I spent 3 weeks, or it was this year actually, January of this year. I spent 3 weeks overseas in Scotland, England. Did another week with Newcastle. Did a week down in Melrose with their club side, and then the third week I was able to do a week with Glasgow Warriors with Franco Smith and his coach in Carberry. Again, fantastic. The big takeaways from that and how that leads into coach and player development is a lot of what they're doing is what we are doing. Now it just comes down to execution and individual players working those small micro skills. The macros we've got. Now it's the micros, and it's up to us as coaches to make sure they're doing it right, and that will eventually work to pay off.
Great, fantastic. We appreciate that, Steve. I want to now pivot to our second live audience question right here.
Scotty, how are you now? Hey!
Stand up.
Sure, man. So I remember, it's more of a reflectionary question. I remember when you and I met, I was trying to explain to you what the current situation of the senior men were all those years ago. How do you think we've done in coming from then until now? And it kind of ties in Omar's question because he asked you about goals and stuff, but how do you think coming from when you first came on to now, how do you think the crew, how do you think we've done, basically?
Well, the fact that we're going to have 3 teams this year, as of this morning, we had 65 players registered, senior men registered, right? We didn't have that 2 and 3 years ago. There's a good buzz here. It's a good vibe. It's whatever term you want to use to describe it, but it's infectious, and I think people are hearing about it, and they're coming back. Whether they're previous players, there's quite a number of young lads who played here as juniors, maybe got away from it in the university years, but now you know what, they're missing it. They're hearing good things from their friends, and they're coming back. Other lads who have just come into the neighborhood, moved in. We're a good catchment area, and they want to play here because again, they're hearing good things. So I think just the culture that we're building, continuing. It's organic, and it doesn't stop. We just keep building on that, and I think the culture that we've developed right now is in a good place, and we just want to make it better and better. Yes.
Coach, we have the Palm Beach Cup coming in this weekend. What are your predictions for these matches?
3 tough games. No predictions in regards to scores, wins or losses. I have no idea. 3 tough games. We've got a lot of young talent. Much like them, we are missing some players due to both international duties and Harris Academy duties. We're missing 5 young lads off the first team. I think they're missing a similar number with the academy. We've got 2 lads with Canada U20s that are down in Uruguay present. They would be playing. So the math right there, that's half of a first team. So we will, because of our depth, because we've got talent, we will, much like Beach, we'll put out the best team we can, teams, plural, on the day, and the victor will be Rugby.
Thank you very much, Scott. All right, I want to end on a bit of a fun note here. All right, so 2 questions, same ones asked to Kevin. So dogs or cats? Dogs. Okay. Coke or Pepsi?
Angus.
Neither.
Neither. All right. Iced or hot coffee?
Season.
Fair enough. Lager or stout?
Lager.
Okay. The really hard one here. Hard or soft shell tacos? Hard or soft?
There's the tough one.
Yeah.
Hard. Yeah, hard.
Hard. All right. I love it. And lastly, for hockey tonight, who are you picking, Leafs or Panthers?
Well, I'm looking at the Leafs in the background, and again, they haven't won the cup since before I was born. They're just setting me up for another meeting.
I love it. All right, fantastic. Well, thanks so much for Scott here. Really big round of applause, please, for Scott Hendry. And folks, I want to thank everyone for watching at home, everyone for being here as well. A big thank you to our sponsors, our primary senior sponsor. We've got Penalta. Big round of applause for Penalta, guys. Big round of applause. Our primary junior sponsor this year, Dietrich's Meats. Big round of applause for them, please, guys. Dietrich's Meats. Thanks for everyone. We'll see you. All the best. Good. That's a great job, Ryan.